The 21st century has witnessed a resurgence of global power competition. The United States, China and Russia are locked in a complex dance of cooperation and rivalry. This new Cold War extends beyond our planet, reaching into the vast expanse of space. Space is no longer merely a scientific frontier. It's a critical domain for military and economic power. Satellites provide essential services like communication, navigation and surveillance. Control over these assets offers a significant strategic advantage. The militarization of space is well underway, with nations developing anti-satellite weapons and space-based weapons systems. International agreements regarding space remain vague and difficult to enforce. The absence of clear rules of engagement increases the risk of miscalculation and escalation. Dialogue, diplomacy, and a renewed commitment to international cooperation are essential to ensuring a peaceful and prosperous future for humanity among the stars. Space warfare conjures images of futuristic battleships and laser beams. While such scenarios are still in the realm of science fiction, the technologies of space warfare are rapidly evolving. Satellites, the workhorses of the space age, are vulnerable to attack and can be turned into weapons themselves. Anti-satellite weapons, or ASATs, are designed to disable or destroy enemy satellites. These weapons can be ground-based missiles launched from aircraft or even other satellites. Some ASATs use kinetic kill vehicles, essentially projectiles that destroy their targets upon impact. Others employ electronic warfare techniques to jam or disable satellite systems. Beyond ASATs, nations are developing space-based weapon systems. These include directed energy weapons like lasers, which could be used to target missiles or even ground targets. The increasing sophistication and availability of space warfare technologies pose a grave threat to global security. It is essential that the international community addresses this growing threat through diplomacy and arms control agreements. The moon, once a symbol of peace and wonder, could become a focal point in a future space war. Its strategic importance stems from its proximity to Earth and its potential resources. The moon could host military bases, launch pads for weapons and mining operations for valuable minerals. Establishing a military presence on the moon would give a nation a significant strategic advantage. Moon-based weapon systems could strike targets on Earth with little warning time. The moon's resources, including water ice and rare earth elements, further increase its strategic value. Water ice could be used to generate fuel and life support for lunar bases, reducing dependence on Earth. The prospect of a conflict over the moon is a sobering reminder of how easily earthly rivalries can extend into space. Agreements on the peaceful use of the moon and the sharing of its resources are crucial to avoiding a new kind of Cold War. While the moon represents the most immediate space territory for potential conflict, the militarization of space could extend far beyond Earth's orbit. Mars, with its potential for colonization and resource extraction, could become a future flashpoint. Asteroids, rich in valuable minerals, could also spark conflict. Mars holds strategic importance for its potential to host self-sustaining colonies. A nation that establishes a dominant presence on Mars could control access to its resources and potentially dictate the terms of future Martian settlement. This could lead to tensions and even conflict with other spacefaring nations. Some asteroids contain vast amounts of valuable minerals, including platinum group metals and water ice. Mining these resources could bring significant economic benefits, but it could also lead to competition and conflict over access to the most valuable asteroids. The potential for conflict over resources and strategic territory extends far beyond Earth. As humanity ventures further into space, it is crucial to establish international norms and legal frameworks that promote peaceful cooperation and prevent a chaotic scramble for celestial resources. Space warfare may seem like a distant threat, but its consequences would be felt acutely on Earth. The interconnected nature of our modern world means that a conflict in space would have cascading effects on communication, navigation, economics, and even our daily lives. Satellites are essential to our modern way of life. They enable global communication, facilitate financial transactions, guide transportation systems, and provide critical weather forecasting data. A space war could cripple or destroy these satellites, causing widespread chaos and disruption. Imagine a world without GPS, internet, or accurate weather reports. The impact on transportation, commerce, and emergency response would be catastrophic. Beyond the immediate disruption, space warfare would have severe long-term consequences. Debris from destroyed satellites and spacecraft would create hazards for future space exploration and could even pose a threat to objects in orbit, including the International Space Station. The Kessler syndrome, a scenario in which cascading collisions create a cloud of debris that makes space travel impossible, is a chilling possibility. The economic fallout of space warfare would be devastating. The loss of critical satellite services would disrupt global trade, finance, and communication networks. Space warfare is not a distant threat, it is a clear and present danger to our interconnected world. Warfare, by its very nature, is unpredictable. The fog of war, a term used to describe the uncertainty and confusion inherent in armed conflict, becomes even more pronounced in the vastness of space. The unique characteristics of the space environment, coupled with the evolving nature of space technology, make predicting the course and outcome of space warfare incredibly difficult. The vast distances involved in space warfare introduce significant delays in communication and observation. Decisions would need to be made with limited information and under immense time pressure, increasing the risk of miscalculation and escalation. The vacuum of space and the absence of gravity create a battlefield unlike any other. Traditional tactics and strategies may not apply, and the behavior of weapons and spacecraft in this environment can be difficult to predict. The lack of atmospheric drag means that debris from explosions and collisions would remain in orbit for much longer periods, posing a persistent hazard to spacecraft. The unpredictable nature of space warfare makes it even more dangerous than traditional forms of conflict. The existing framework of international law governing space is ill-equipped to deal with the complexities of space warfare. The Outer Space Treaty of 1967, the cornerstone of international space law, prohibits the placement of weapons of mass destruction in orbit or on celestial bodies, but does not explicitly ban conventional weapons or military activities in space. This ambiguity has led to a lack of clarity regarding the legality of certain space weapons and activities. Some argue that any weapon designed for use in space should be considered a weapon of mass destruction, while others contend that space should be open for the peaceful pursuit of national interests, including military activities. The lack of a comprehensive and enforceable legal framework for space warfare increases the risk of miscalculation and escalation. Clear rules of engagement, definitions of prohibited weapons, and mechanisms for dispute resolution are crucial to prevent misunderstandings and ensure responsible behavior in space. Several international initiatives aim to address the legal challenges of space warfare. The Prevention of an Arms Race in Outer Space, or PAROS Treaty, proposed by Russia and China, seeks to ban the placement of any weapons in space. Strengthening international space law is essential to prevent a catastrophic conflict in space. The prospect of space warfare is a stark reminder of humanity's capacity for self-destruction. However, it also presents an opportunity to choose a different path, one that prioritizes diplomacy, cooperation, and the peaceful resolution of conflict. Preventing space warfare requires a multifaceted approach. Dialogue and diplomacy are essential to build trust and understanding between nations, addressing the underlying tensions that could lead to conflict. Open communication channels, regular consultations, and confidence-building measures can help to prevent misunderstandings and reduce the risk of escalation. International cooperation in space exploration and research can foster a spirit of collaboration and shared responsibility for the peaceful use of space. Joint missions, data sharing agreements, and the development of international norms of behavior in space can contribute to a more stable and secure space environment. Arms control agreements, tailored to the unique challenges of space warfare, are crucial to limiting the development and deployment of destabilizing weapons systems. Bans on anti-satellite weapons, limitations on space-based weapons, and transparency measures to build confidence and reduce the risk of miscalculation are all essential components of a comprehensive space security regime. By embracing diplomacy, cooperation, and the peaceful resolution of conflict, we can ensure that space remains a realm of wonder, inspiration, and progress for generations to come. As we stand on the precipice of a new era of space exploration, we are also confronted with the sobering possibility of space warfare. The technologies of conflict are rapidly advancing, and the strategic importance of space is undeniable. The stakes are higher than ever before, and the consequences of conflict in space would be felt by every human being on Earth. The path we choose now will determine the future of warfare and the fate of humanity's future among the stars. We can choose the path of competition, mistrust, and ultimately self-destruction. Or we can choose the path of dialogue, cooperation, and peaceful resolution. We can choose to make space a domain for war or a frontier for peace. The choice is ours. Let us choose to make the stars a symbol of hope, not fear, for generations to come.